Here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's Wednesday. It's a weekly tech forum or Wednesday technology forum, whichever you choose, but it is definitely WTF. It's sponsored by Love My Tool. And today we actually have only Tim and I, the two cornerstone of Love My Tool, I suppose. Tim has actually put a lot of effort into a paper that I think he has scheduled for this coming Friday, and it has a lot to do with technology, freedom, and what I call overbearing left-leaning government that is not up for re-election. So it's actually all the combination that makes it a very, very dangerous time in history, I suppose. Right, Tim?
Oh, it's getting scary. And people just don't want to seem to stand up and yell about it. And of course, I'm shy, so I've been yelling a little bit more than normal, but I love it, you know.
Well, we tend not to talk about politics on this show, and we like to keep our personal view to ourselves. But it's only skin deep. It doesn't take much to know what we think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do want to keep a level thought process, but when you have an overwhelming amount of evidence that something's going on, but people aren't, you know, it's the old story, you hide it in plain sight and people don't see it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And we see a lot of that, and with all of the, you know, friction going on in the world, you know, we got Russia sitting over there thinking about, you know, invading the Ukraine. We got everybody on high alert. There are a lot of things going on. And today I thought I'd talk about a few of those items. And I think my article actually is coming up on the 15th. I think it's next Thursday.
Oh, okay, the Thursday after this one. Okay, all right. So let me put up your paper then. Whoops. Okay.
Whoops. There you go.
Let me do that. Okay. Okay, Tim, take it.
Well, so the first slide is just Wednesday Technical Forum from lovemytool.com. This is a new thing we're doing also, by the way, for sponsors. So when you're a sponsor of Love My Tool, you'll also be invited to participate in a Wednesday Technical Forum and talk about your products and your technology and your values. And we're looking forward to doing Garland Technology, which is one of the leading companies in high-quality visibility solutions for networks. So go ahead and hit the next slide if you wouldn't mind, Denny.
Sure.
Well, the Heartbleed and beyond attack. The Heartbleed attacks the secured socket layer, SSL, TLS, and about 66+% of the market uses the SSL software. The attack actually steals primary and secondary key formats, can steal content, user credentials like your password, your credit cards, whatever you've got in your user credential file on that server that's been attacked.
Tim, for some reason, the Heartbleed attack or Heartbleed vulnerability is just not talked about. Why is that?
Well, first off, it's really scary. Okay, it was something no one anticipated, and it's kind of unique in the fact that it only attacks later versions of it. It doesn't attack UF 1.0 and some of the earlier versions. It doesn't affect it. It can't work. But I think it was such a huge surprise that we had this massive attack, and very few people even know about it. And then, you know, there was this thing about what do we do about it? And then also, you know, it's like the Target attack or breach. No one wants to talk about it anymore. And yet, when you talk about millions, if not tens and hundreds of millions of servers were attacked by Heartbleed, that means multi-millions of people lost their credentials, and they just don't want to talk about it because that upsets people. So we hide it, you know. And the sad thing is, very few servers escape the initial attack. It's kind of like, you know, with the Target breach, we know there's hundreds of millions of people, information got leaked. And I've heard people say, well, I haven't had any problems, so I'm not going to worry about it. Well, that's a terrible stance because ultimately they'll get to you. Okay? They got to us, my wife. She had charged something on a credit card, and just the other day, she got a call from the credit card company say, "Are you in New York City?" And she says, "No." She says, "Well, you charged about $2,800 in the last 30 minutes." And so, they blocked it, stopped it, and shut it off and all that. But that's going on daily. Okay.
Yeah, I got when I was traveling last couple of months, in the middle of the travel, I got a number of email and phone messages from American Express saying that we're going to have to stop your American Express because there's just been I guess the way it works is that when someone got a hold of your identity or at least your credit card, they initiate a series of very small purchases.
Test purchases or probes, they call it.
Yeah, just to see if they can get it under the radar, and I guess the credit card company spots that, and they immediately contact me while I was traveling, and basically said, "Look, we're going to have to cancel your card. We're going to get you a new one." But I was at a different city every day, so there was no way for them to give me a new card. And it didn't bother me until I actually was in Japan. I had to rent a car, and then I realized that I couldn't rent a car, right? And I mean, I had other cards. It's just that American Express has been the card that I use for travel because it has all the insurance and all that tied in. And had I used a Visa card, I would have to end up buying insurance. So it wouldn't have worked. So I mean, it's not exactly an attack. It's not exactly a identity theft. But I guess my point is that our life is just so tied with our digital identity is so it's not just that it's important, it's our only identity now.
Right. Well, some people don't realize, like, between 75 and 90% of attacks, cyber attacks, are against small businesses and individuals. Okay. And the risk return of a cyber attack is really good for the criminals, because worldwide less than 10%, and I think that's being generous, of recorded cyber crimes result in any conviction, arrest, or anything at all. Okay. And most people, I just did a presentation last night for the Cherokee County School District and high schools, or the school system, and I think a couple of the people realized, but didn't really realize how dangerous it is. And the problem is, if you look out there, a lot of people are happy going out and getting open source tools for their antivirus and that, and that's good to a certain extent, but it doesn't protect you, because most of the software that's open source is already aged. It's already been out there for a while. So we don't even know the number of servers that were attacked, and probably won't know. And then a little bit further down the page here, the next attack, which is morphed out of Heartbleed, is the authorization and the OpenID. And these are redirect attacks, so when you think you're going somewhere, they're actually taking you somewhere else. And you log in, well, they got your login now, and of course, once they have that, they instantly go in and steal what they can. And people just don't realize it. And a lot of sites just didn't want to talk about it. And then others did. They sent out emails right away saying, "Hey, if you got a password on our server, it's been compromised. Change it." So, and I tell people all the time, if you're not changing your password regularly, you're just giving the guys longer to attack you. It's like, it's like allowing a criminal to start picking your lock while you're at home. Okay?
Yeah.
So people just need to turn things off. Okay? But Heartbleed will be affecting us for months, if not years, to come.
So Tim, again, just summarize it for me. So Heartbleed is a vulnerability on on basically browsers, right?
No, it's on the server authentication process.
Oh, okay. So it's not something that a consumer get to see.
No, we probably won't see it. It usually just attacks servers on the network. Now we see the end result when they've stolen our credentials, our credit card number, our password, and for the servers, they're stealing the primary and secondary key format.
So
So
it's in a way it's the perfect conspiracy because those who are being attacked, for example, if Amazon is being attacked, they have they have the most to lose to let people know that they're being attacked.
right,
I see. Hmm.
it's really sad because you think about the internet and there's so many people out
So
there.
this is essentially a national security issue.
Yeah, I mean people don't realize. I was on a conference the other day with some people that are law enforcement, national and international law enforcement, and they were talking about the internet, and I said, you have to understand the internet is a weapon. It's a terroristic potential weapon. So we have to look at it as a weapon of mass destruction. Can you imagine if someone launched an attack against a viable attack against our banking system and shut down our
Well,
banks for days?
I don't I hate to put it this way, but I mean a 747 is a transportation tool, but it's also a fuel bomb with wings.
You got it. Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah. And now I did like the way Amazon handled it. As Amazon came out and said they weren't affected by it because of the way they used their security. Okay. But they were they're taking steps to make sure, okay, that it's not going to affect them. But when you have people like GoDaddy, Yahoo Mail, Gmail, Yahoo, Google, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all those, they were vulnerable. They may have been patched now, but if you have anything on there, you definitely want to make sure that it is changed.
Hmm.
So that's what I had to do. I sat down and went through and changed everything. Everyone got changed.
Hmm.
So let's go to the next one slide, if
Okay,
you don't mind.
sure. Hang on.
So this is the latest stuff from Washington. Okay, the White House wants us to have each individual to have what they call an Internet ID, like China has, where there would be no anonymity or privacy on the internet. You would have to log in under this ID, and they could even take it different steps, like they're doing inside the government, where they're saying, "Hey, you can only go to these websites," and it gives total control, basically, to the government. They've actually done a test, and actually, it's in my article. I talk about it coming up next week, and it's really kind of scary.
So all this is in the spirit of protecting us.
Yeah, but you can go so far. A friend of mine said it like this. He says, "We want to protect you when you get on an airplane, okay? But we don't want you to have to take off all your clothes and stand there naked while we check everything inside and out around your body." Okay, so that takes that it takes it too far, and this is a step towards regulation, loss of privacy, loss of anonymity, loss of freedom to go do what you want to do. They've already launched some tests inside of the government, and they've actually even given a company called Security the initial contract to build the federal cloud. Okay, which I hate the word cloud, and I hate that people are using clouds because they don't realize what they're using. But I'm sure it's eventually going to get more secure, but not anytime in the near future. So it's just a way of saying, hey, you got a driver's license, you got your proof of insurance, you got your registration on your vehicle, and oh, I need to see your ID card, your internet ID card, and oh, by the way, can I see the tattoo of your ID on your neck that we put on there when you were born? I mean, it's almost getting to that point.
Yeah.
So now the next thing is the Internet of Things. Everybody talks about this, and everybody's excited about it. I'm not. I don't want to be able to talk to my toaster and my air conditioner and my, and I don't want my presence known. There's some advantages inside of a company to have what we call presence security. In other words, I have a little transmitter that I wear around, and I'm in a room, and I'm getting on a server. The advanced security system can first off take a picture of me or look at me live. It can say, hey, he's got on his presence ID, and his presence ID lets him have authority to talk to, that server, that firewall, that router, whatever.
Well, I'm not giving up my my Nest thermostat, my Wi-Fi enabled thermostat, but I did realize that when I install it and I click on that button that says that I accept the user's policy, I gave them the right to sell my data to the energy company. So this is actually another revenue source for the company,
Right.
which is now part of Google. So how long would it take before my thermostat usage is searchable and it becomes part of my Google identity, right?
Well, it becomes your Google identity becomes controllable. The power company says, hey, you know what? We got an opportunity to deliver power to ABC, and if we leave all these air conditioners on this block, we don't have the carrier capability, so we're going to shut everybody's air conditioner down for an hour. So you lose control.
Yeah.
And
for your own good.
Yeah, for your own good, for your own benefit. Someone's taking control of you. So, and they use what they call MEMS, which are micro electromechanical systems. But I mean, ultimately, and people have been talking about smart houses for years. I don't want a smart house. I want one that does what I want it to do when I want it to do it, and I don't want to argue with me. I've got kids. I don't want them arguing with me either. So, that's kind of the same thing there. So, the giveaway of the internet. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, this is not true." It is true. We invented the internet, the United States of America. Vint Cerf, Rob Kahn, DARPA, that was American from the very beginning. AT&T, Bell Labs, a whole bunch of people contributed to the internet. The White House wants to turn over the internet for global control, like the UN, and we know how well that's worked. Okay, and the internet is a major weapon. So I don't think we're going to give our nuclear weapons to just anybody that comes along and say, hey, if we need them, we'll call you. Okay? And as another great example of control, the new Russian law that we just signed, I think it was a week ago, gives Putin and the ruling politicians complete control of the internet. They regulate it. You have to register sites. You can be punished for saying things that they don't think you should say, a la the IRS event here in the United States on organizations that were not in line with the current administration. They can shut you down. They can fine you. They can put you in jail. And they regulate it, and it'll be, and Putin understands that the internet is a huge potential for good and bad. But
I think Putin I don't think he has much good
intent, right? I understand that too. And then the next thing that's going on is Congress is looking at changing the internet, because the internet can be taxed a lot more than it is right now. And so they're talking about starting what they call internet subscriptions, which are controlled. In other words, just like your DirecTV, you pay X number of dollars and you can have access to these 20 channels or these 100 channels. With the internet subscription, they're talking about, hey, you pay X number of dollars a month and you can have access to this category of website, but you can't have access to these. and you can't go to China because if you go to China, we got to pay China taxes. And the battle's coming down between private citizens who seem to be sitting on the side with their finger placed in an area, maybe in their ears, I don't know, going, no, 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 we don't want to hear about it. And then you got the ISPs who want control. They want more money out of it. And the telcos who have always believed that, hey, we give you a telephone call whoever you want. Okay? And all this will do is lead to more taxes, more governmental control, and it's things seem to be just going crazy with the stuff they're trying to lay on us for no reason.
Well, I think the point is that, and this is just a very small list of all the other things that is being done, but it's things that are being done in our government in the name of protecting us. But more importantly is things being done and being voted on by people who don't even use email.
Yeah. I don't understand sometimes, but
you know, I literally grew up with abacus. I mean, I used to have to carry an abacus to school, and so you imagine imagine that's all I know, and now I have the right to write laws to govern those who use calculators.
Right.
Yeah. You won't.
Great analogy.
You're not gonna like it. Yeah. You won't like it.
Yeah. But I wouldn't mind having one of those old abacus that had the ivory that were carved out of ivory. They're worth a few bucks today.
I'll get one for you next time I'm in Asia.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. So go ahead and go to the next slide.
Okay, hang on. Yeah. Oops.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the White House wants to protect us. They actually call it the identity ecosystem, and since it's an ecosystem, I wonder if the EPA is going to have control of it, like it's trying to get control of all the water in the United States. I'm kind of confused there, but it's basically you have to have an ID to use the internet. You can't get on the internet unless you use an ID number. How long do you think it's going to take hackers to figure out the process? Okay, and it's identical to the one that China uses. It eliminates all your privacy, all your anonymity. Okay, and anytime you take over total monitoring, you take over total control. And I mentioned the IRS like issues, but there have been many others in history, not just this administration, but others. They've actually have 2 states that have run a pilot program. It was closed to the public. It was kept very secret. The White House just issued a couple of weeks ago a mandate saying that inside the government they're going to have to start using the federal cloud, and to do that you have to have a secure key, which is the identity ecosystem. And so what they'll do is, like they've done before, is they'll, some government agencies will use it, then it'll be pushed out to others, then it'll be pushed out to government contractors, okay? Then it will be pushed out to government contractor employees, and then at some point it'll be transitioned to colleges and out, educational system out to us.
Do you remember? I think there was a story. I remember reading something about the Social Security number, and when it first came out, it was meant to be a sensor, right? It was meant to. It was very limited,
right.
And it made all kinds of promises that they were going to use it beyond the original, very limited application, right?
Right. But look at it now. I mean.
But the thing is that now they don't even try. They don't even try to pretend to hide it. They just basically said, "This is from now on. This is your ID, right?"
Sure. And you have to, every time you call your credit card company or your bank, give me the last 4 digits of your Social Security number. So,
as if they don't already know the rest.
Right. Yeah, they know everything. Trust me. It's really not that hard to figure out a Social Security number.
Turns out it's not. Turns out that well, especially for my family who are naturalized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean they basically the other than the last 4 digits, the rest of it is just batch number.
Mm-hmm. Right. So what it looks like we're heading for is what I call totalitarian internet control. You know, and
Ah,
every
what the
more
hell? What the hell? We don't vote anyway, so.
right. So all right, well, last slide, and we'll just discuss it and just so smile. It could get worse. I may be wrong, but smile makes it easier to get through the day. People they'll have to wake up and have to start taking action. Actually, in my article that's coming out, I have a call for action. Believe it or not, I actually called my senator and my congressman, and they had no idea about the identity ecosystem. Um, and they're people that are supposed to keep up with this stuff. They didn't either. They had no clue what I was talking about, so I sent them emails with all this information on it. And they were pretty astounded that it had been slipped. You know, when Congress is not in session, you can get away with almost anything. You just do it. You know, ask forgiveness later. You know, don't ask permission. Just ask forgiveness. It's always easier to obtain. And a lot of stuff just starts happening. And a multi-million-dollar contract was used to do the initial 2 tests, and now a contract's been released to a company called Security, and the United States Post Office will probably start using it, which will ultimately mean probably that when we get mail, we'll have if you want to mail something to Denny, you put Denny and then you put his ID card number down.
Yeah.
You know, and I just don't believe any application in the cloud will last long because of the vulnerability of the cloud. But it's not going to be any more vulnerable or any less vulnerable than an ID number. How long do you think it'll take the hackers to find that out? I mean, if we can break into secure layers, okay, and behind, underneath everything and break into the servers, no matter whether you try to hack the number directly or hack the cloud, or you try to hack the servers, the authentication servers. I mean, it's happened so many times. I mean, you have authentication service for your internet usage. You have authentication services for your cell phone. You have it for your telephone, and these all have been hacked. And it's the old push pull. The technology moves forward a little bit, then the hackers move forward to that. Then the technology moves forward a little bit, and the hackers move forward to that. And it's this leapfrog game that's going on. And the problem is, once it's hacked, it's hacked. Your credit card. They couldn't say, hey, Denny, wait a week before you use it, and it'll be okay. They had to replace it. So the next time it's hacked, what's going to happen? They're going to replace it again. But we know it's going to get hacked. It's just a matter of when. The only way not to get hacked is disappear. I mean, just off the grid completely, pay for everything in cash, don't own property, disappear in the middle of the Badlands. But you can't in the Badlands because they're turtle or frog or...
Well, Tim, you're just full of good news today. That's great.
I know.
So where are the money? Where's the money? Where is the money to be made here? We have a lot of we have friends who are consultants. We have friends who are vendors. We are selling equipment. What are the opportunities?
Well, I think there are great opportunities for think tanks where people say, hey, I'm a good guy, but I'm going to take a look at everything that we use, starting with the highest level, like OpenSSL, and how would I hack that? And so out of that comes a solution before the problem even appears.
Because I suspect that the general public is interested, but it just right now is too difficult for them to absorb. It's so...
last night the parents mentioned that. They said, we buy computers, we try to, put antivirus on there, we try to, guide our children, and even themselves, and but things still happen. And I think 2 problems. One, it is difficult. I'm not a guru, but I still struggle with things. Okay, Casey, one of our good friends, Emery, You know, he runs across stuff all the time. He had a Windows 8 program the other day of computer. He restored it to factory settings, you know, and turned it on, and it instantly picked up his Wi-Fi and logged him in. And he's like, I have WAP2 or WPA2. How did it get my password?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know, you get antivirus, you got learning your internet. I mean, last night when I was talking to these parents, I was showing them tools that they could use to protect themselves. And I made 2 codicils. The minute you download it, it's out of date. Okay?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay. And number 2, if you're not proactive, okay, meaning you're changing passwords, you're teaching your kids how to be safe, you're using good practices, you're going to get hacked. So you just try to mitigate the attack and make sure it's not total death. It's just a bobo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey, Tim, we're going to close the show, but it just occurred to me that we in the past we had a show on Saturday called Homeland Security, and I think it was something that we all agree and that we could all relate to, which is that this is something we need to take control. This just for if not for protection of a country, at least for protection of a family.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking that as soon as I have some time today, I'm going to add a new category inside Love My Tool called Homeland Security. And I think that I think the articles that you write, and maybe some of the articles that you write in the past, really should be categorized in that subject, don't you think?
Oh yeah, and I think I tell people. Last night I made a comment. I said visibility is the start. It's the first step. Okay, and visibility, I mean looking and seeing actually what's going on. And I do believe that in our networks, in our corporate networks especially, we're going to have to start building a visibility plane where we see every bit, byte, nibble, and octet that goes by, as opposed to just grabbing the span port and thinking it's okay. We're being what do you call it when people prank you? It's pranking you. You know, it's telling you everything's wonderful, but it's not.
Yeah.
And so we need visibility, and we need security. Just like you lock your door at night, you need to turn your computer off. You need to take the steps.
Right.
And I agree. I think that in this high school, which is part of the Cherokee County system, which is big, they want me back 3 times or 4 times next year. They're putting together. They said because there's so much interest in this, and it is. It's got to be. It's getting very difficult, Denny, and people have got to start taking. And I mean, how tired are you at night? I mean, you're kind of semi-retired. I'm definitely semi-retired. Well, not really, but sort of. But I mean, at night, I don't want to sit down and find another computer problem. You know.
Yeah.
And you can think of these parents where both parents work. They got kids in soccer and ballet and baseball, football, basketball, you name it, and they come home.
Yeah. They don't need another responsibility. That's true.
I think that we.
So I think the upshot is that there's definitely money to be made here.
Absolutely. If someone can come up with, like our friends at who'sonmywifi.com, they came up with a thing for visibility. Someone's going to come up. I know Casey with his When UFOs come up with some pretty cool tools to look at your network, your computers, and see what's going on. But someone is going to be able to come up with a encyclopedia of solutions that tells you that you got a potential problem.
I think you got something there, Jim. I think this is something that and Casey was trying to get on the show earlier, and I'm sure he would watch the show when he gets some time. Maybe that's the key. Maybe that is the marketing angle that we've been looking for Win UFO, which is that this is the tool that allows you to build a visibility layer for your home network for the purpose of protecting your family. That's the message. Right.
And the guys at my Wi-Fi, who's on my Wi-Fi, they've done something like that, but just for Wi-Fi. We need one that takes a look at your computer and says, "Oh man,"
Yeah. I think that well, okay, well, let's close the show, Tim. Say
Thank you,
goodbye,
man.
and I'll let you. Why don't you summarize your presentation today? I know you have. This is just a thought process that you're going through in preparing your paper to come out next Thursday. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I just two things. I want people to realize that things are going on that we need as citizens, whether we're citizens of America or we're citizens of other countries. We need to stand up for our rights, our privacy, our right to anonymity, and our right to protection. I think further, if we have knowledge that these things are going on, even from basic, the Heartbleed attacks, you name it, virus attacks, scams, redirects, whatever. Once you know these things are going on, you can learn how to protect yourself and protect your children. And then we have an obligation also to help protect our companies, our government, our own families, our friends, and ultimately our existence. Because the internet is a lethal weapon. Okay? Actually, I feel more afraid of what can happen on the internet than I do with people carrying guns in church or wherever else. I mean, I don't feel that much of a threat there, but I definitely feel a threat for this. All people got to do is wake up, and I hope that we, rattled a few cages and said, hey, wake up and take a look at this. Don't be shy. Stand up for your rights, your feelings, and as you always say, be safe.
Be safe. With that, thank you. See you next week. Thank you, Tim. And Casey, I know you're watching. Thank you, Casey, for trying. Bye-bye.